Welcome to you wherever you are in the world. You're listening to One World Radio. This is Juliet Vorster, the Metaphysical Motivator, coming to you across the airwaves. And wherever you are in the world, no matter what the time of day is, you are welcome here. So this is an opportunity for you to just sit back and relax, listen to something that hopefully is going to inspire you and motivate you to work on your own personal transformation. And today we are going to have a conversation all about taming the inner critic. And this is one of those subjects that I feel like I talk about all the time. When I came to look through the radio archive, it's not a topic that we've talked about recently. So I thought it was a really good one, being as I feel like I am always talking about it. So today I'm going to bring you some simple, easy, practical tools that will inspire and motivate you to start taming your inner critic. So many people, when I talk to them about this subject, when I say, well, you need to stop criticizing yourself, they'll come back to me and say, yes, well, I'll stop that when I lose 20 pounds, or when I get this particular job, or if I actually stop doing this particular habit, or when I start behaving in this certain way. The paradox and the irony is, unless you stop criticizing yourself, you're not going to make those changes. It seems counterintuitive, I get that. It seems like, well, no, the madwoman must be completely wrong. But trust me, really, when you stop criticizing yourself, when you start accepting right where you are and knowing that on some level you're okay, that is when the change can really, really kick in and start happening. And I get, as I say, it sounds paradoxical, it sounds completely back to front, but that's the way the universe works. It's when you let go of beating yourself up, giving yourself a hard time, and generally just dogging yourself for no good reason, that's when the changes will really start to happen. And I understand that sometimes that can be really challenging, especially if you don't feel like you're showing up and being your authentic best self. We all have days like that. We all have certain points in our life when we are doing the best we can, but our best looks pig ugly. You know, there are equally matched times when we're doing the best we can, and that best is radiantly beautiful. But no matter where we are on that scale, we are always doing the best we can. And that's one of the tools we'll be looking at a little later on in today's conversation. But it's just recognizing initially that giving up the criticism, taming that inner critic, letting it go, not getting into a confrontation, a fight, because when you're in that situation, you're both pushing against each other. Then it's a bit like having an argument with a teenager. That inner voice inside your head, just like some teenagers, wants to get the last word, wants to bring you to an understanding that is different from what you really want. And so there is no benefit in getting into an argument. And yet I know, because it happens to me, that sometimes we do end up in that situation where it feels like you're just in this circular discussion with a voice inside your head, and it's just incredibly challenging and frustrating to let go of that. But it's a practice. It's like everything in life. It's an opportunity of growth and learning. It's an opportunity to do things differently to how we have previously done them. And it's when we take those steps that slowly but surely we can really make the changes that we want to make and move into our greatest yet to be. And as I say, it is odd, it does feel like a complete paradox, but nonetheless, it's absolutely true that when we let go of criticism and judgment and we move into a place of self-acceptance and build on a self-belief that we are okay. And just in case you don't believe that, let me just tell you, who you are is perfectly okay. In fact, who you are is so beyond okay that if you really knew, just like the Vedas say, that we are brighter than 10,000 suns. And there's that fabulous song by Kit Holmes. If you listen to the Metaphysical Motivator radio show, it's the opening track, What You Are. There is no planet, sun or star that can hold you if you really knew just what you are. And that's the lyric from Kit Holmes' song there. And when we get to understand that we really are powerful, creative beings of light, that we are eternal, infinite spirit that happens to be squeezed into a physical suitcase right now, when we get all of those things, it becomes easier to build on that platform and release that criticism and judgment. But even if you're not there with that, even if that isn't your spiritual belief, I have got some simple practical tools that you can apply on a regular daily basis that will help you tame your inner critic. In fact, even ironically, and when I tell some people this, they're like, well, I don't want to make friends with my inner critic, but you can do. If that works for you, if feeling like you've actually got an ally that is working for you, which it is what the ego inner critic is doing on one level, when you make peace with that, then it allows that transformation to happen. When you're constantly in conflict and resisting, we already know what you resist persists. So it's our opportunity to let go of that resistance, embrace a different way of being, a different way of connecting, and thereby allow that transformation for our greatest yet to be. So tool number 1 is just the very simple idea of stop all self-criticism. Now, I can say that out loud and it sounds really easy. And I know from personal practice that it isn't that simple. But if you are setting an intention, this is so important because we know that the mind is so much more powerful than we necessarily have been educated to believe. When we simply set an intention, I am willing, that magical word of willing, I am willing to stop all criticism, to stop all self-criticism. If you just want to start with yourself, that's groovy. If you want to go for it in a bigger way and stop all criticism, well, it's a bigger piece of work. But if you want to set that for your own intention right here, right now, great, fantastic, do it. But if you just want to start with yourself, I am willing to stop all self-criticism. Repeat that for me now. I am willing to stop all self-criticism. And that may not feel very genuine when you say it. It may feel like it's a long way away, but that's part of the idea of opening to that willingness. The magical thing about willingness, I always say, is willingness is like opening a door, just the tiniest crack, and allowing the infinite intelligence of life to open it the rest of the way by bringing you everything that you need to step into that willingness in a more full way and to be supported by the world at large, by that thing that is bigger than you are, but that enshrouds you and is through you, and allowing those changes to take place. I am willing to stop all self-criticism. Write that down. Stick it on some post-it notes. Spread it around your house so that you're reminding yourself, I am willing to stop all self-criticism. It's a really important first place because ultimately, if you're at that point and you're saying, well, I'm not willing, then, you know, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And I'm pretty certain that you are not achieving everything that you want in life. There are some areas, maybe your life is pretty awesome like mine, but maybe there are still some areas where you want the more out of life. And that more can only come through you. And one of the things that is stopping you from getting what you want, whether that's more vibrant health, whether it's a better friendship circle, whether it's the partner of your dreams, whether it's developing a new business idea or a career, if you're stuck in criticism of yourself, that is holding you back. It is not motivating you to change. My question is, how's it working for you? Because the chances are you've been criticizing yourself, beating yourself up mentally, having those negative conversations with yourself for almost all of your life so far. And unless you are quite literally flying high and living a thriving life on every level, then I'm willing to put money on the fact that it is not supporting you. I've never seen anybody for whom criticism and judgment has worked to get them where they want to get to. If you're somebody who has journeyed through the yo-yoing of diet, you will know this already for yourself. I've certainly experienced this on a very deeply personal level. The times when I beat myself up and criticize myself for eating a certain thing or making a poor choice around nutrition, it doesn't help me change. It just makes me feel more rotten about myself. And so there is no benefit in putting ourselves down. There is no benefit in making us feel rotten, because then the whole energy of what we're creating or where we're creating from is just absolutely in the pits. It is not in a good place. So I am willing to stop all self-criticism. Write it down, put it on a post-it note, spread it around the house, around the office, put it on your computer screen. And if people ask you, great, you can tell them all about it. Point them in my direction, julietvorster.com, or send them into the radio station, oneworldradio.org.uk. And ironically, as you really start making those changes, as you stop the self-criticism, those people that are asking you the questions, they are going to see the changes in you. And that in itself is going to prompt them to want to know more. That's just how it works. It's how the universe works. As you model a different way of being, people around you get curious. So that's amazing. So I am willing to stop all self-criticism. Just start with that. It's a great first step to get you into a better place of taming your inner critic and moving past the judgments and hard times that you currently give yourself. So a second thing to think about is a characterization for your inner critic. What does your inner critic look like? What does it sound like? Is it some tall, rangy, mean-looking person? Or is it someone who kind of is caring for you but still critical? Does it sound like one of your parents or a school teacher or a minister from when you were growing up? It really, really helps to give your inner critic a character. Because once you give them a character, you can distance yourself. You can create a little bit of separation mentally between your highest self and this part of you that is the critical and judgment part of you. So really take a little bit of time to play with that. Journey inside and think about, okay, so what does my inner critic look like? When you finish listening to this audio, take some time out. If you're in my training program, there is a guided visualization that will lead you on a journey to connect with your inner critic, to get clearer about what they look like, what they sound like, and how they are showing up in your life. So just take some time to think about that and really get creative. There is no right or wrong in this. This is about what's true for you for now. So if you take some time to think about this, to think, okay, so is it a male or a female voice? And it isn't necessarily one or the other dependent on your gender. It can be the same or opposite. Is it, when you think about it, is it a person like a real life kind of a person? Or is it a cartoon character? Is it a movie character? Is it a synthesis of all of those different things? You know, this can be anything. There are no limits to the ability of your imagination to characterize your inner critic. So if you really spend some time with it, just turn within, close your eyes, and have a think about that. And look at what that is for you. There isn't a right or wrong, remember. This is just about you creating an image, a connection, a characterization of your inner critic. Now, to give you a little bit of time to do that right here, right now, we're going to take a musical interlude with Melissa Felipe. And this is your opportunity, just in these few moments while this track is playing, to really turn within and give this some thought. Think about who and what and how your inner critic shows up. And then when we come back, we'll move it on to the next step. So this is Melissa Felipe, A New Person.
I'm a new person. The truth has been revealed. A new person. This history's been healed. I've seen the truth. It has set me free. More room for light and more love in me. 'Cause I'm a new person now that this is through. I'm new. I'm a new truth has been revealed. A new person. This history's been healed. I've seen the truth. It has set me free. More room for light and more love in me. 'Cause I'm a new person now that this is through. I'm new. I'm a new person. The truth has been revealed. A new person. This history's been healed. I've seen the truth. It has set me free. More room for light and more love in me. 'Cause I'm a new person now that this is through. I'm new. I'm a new person. The truth has been revealed. A new person. This history's been healed. I've seen the truth. It has set me free. More room for light and more love in me. 'Cause I'm a new person now that this is through. I'm new. I'm a new person. The truth has been revealed. A new person. This history's been healed. I've seen the truth. It has set me free. More room for light and more love in me. 'Cause I'm a new person now that this is through. I'm new. I'm new.
So that's Melissa Felipe, a new person, from her album A Chance to Love. That's Chance, CHANTS. So just being aware, just allowing whatever thoughts, feelings, knowings came up as a result of that exercise, recognizing that this is your inner critic. There isn't a right or wrong. There isn't a should involved in this. This is just whatever you have experienced. And once you've got to that place, then you can really mentally connect to it. When that critical voice starts, and yeah, I get the chances are when that critical voice first comes up, it's your voice in your head. There isn't a separation. That's one of the benefits of doing this process of giving them their own characterization and really tuning in to the underlying sound of the voice, the images and the feelings and the sense that you get from that part of you, yeah, they're all part of you. And it may be that your characterization of it takes a picture of yourself when you're not looking your best and makes that your inner critic. It can be anything. As I said, there's no right or wrong. This is just whatever it is for you is the perfect thing for you. But once you've got that, then when that critical voice kicks in, you can bring to mind that characterization and you can separate it from that highest and best part of you. The part of you that genuinely wants to support you, wants to inspire and motivate you to change, and the part that is the inner love, the inner wisdom, the inner intelligence, that divine spark that is the truth of you. And once you've got that little bit of distance, that little bit of separation, then you can have a dialogue. And at that point, you can ask, how are you trying to help me? Because this is just a facet of the ego. This is just part of our inner self. And inevitably, it is trying to help. It may not feel like it and it may not look like it, but the ego has developed as a way of keeping you safe. You have developed habits and behaviors and models of thinking that have kept you safe in a number of different situations through your life. They may not be serving you now, and it may be time to let them go. But when you can go through this process and create this kind of separation and then really invite an answer. And again, if you're in my wisdom community, then there is a guided visualization that will take you all the way through this. But it's interesting to just play with it for yourself. Just tune in. Once you've got clear about that characterization, tuning into your heart, connecting to your highest part of you, and then asking, what is it you're trying to do to help me here? Why are you coming through in this way? And you can ask any questions. Again, you're completely making it up. So it's safe for you to express whatever concerns you might have or whatever thoughts that you've got going on in your mind. You can just pull those out, air them. It's one of those strange and bizarre things that when we speak out loud or when we write things down, and you could do this as a written exercise, if that works better for you, if you know that journaling and writing are great tools for you in your own personal growth, then that's another way of doing it. You don't just have to do this as a mental exercise. You can imagine almost like writing a play with the scripts from each part. So whatever way of doing it that works for you, but allowing the answers to come forth without judgment, without criticism. It's a practice. And it's probably something that you want to do more than once or twice, because it truly will help you strengthen your muscles for recognizing that criticism, catching it sooner, because sometimes we find ourselves way down a whole conversation inside our head that isn't supporting us. It's pulling us down, it's questioning us, it's judging us. But the sooner we can catch it and we can bring to mind that character that is our inner critic, then we can tune into our heart and bring up our highest self, and then we can have a dialogue. Then we can say, okay, I understand you're trying to keep me safe. What specifically is going on here? What are you trying to do to help me? And allow those answers to come up. And if you've never done these kinds of exercises before, it might sound a bit weird, and it might sound like you're never going to get an answer. But trust me, it's amazing, absolutely amazing, the kinds of things that is already existing inside of you. Everything you need is already inside of you. You just don't know that yet. You haven't maybe worked with it on a level where you've connected in a way that you get that. And that's great. That's why you're listening to me now. That's why you're on a journey. And the more you practice and play with these things, the easier it becomes, and the more connected you get to your own sense of well-being. Because there is an innate wholeness about you. Whether you know that or not yet, it's still true. You are, again, back to what I was saying at the beginning, you are that infinite intelligence. You are that divine spark squeezed into a human body, and that wisdom is always a part of you, even if you have become incredibly disconnected to it through your life experience. And again, this is not another opportunity to criticize yourself and add something to the beat me up list. To know that you are where you are, and that's the right place for you to be right now. When I first started learning about some of these principles, and I went to the US and saw all these very young people who had been raised in these philosophies, I was quite grumpy at the universe for not introducing me to them in an earlier stage in my life. But what I recognize is I needed to have my experiences in life so that I have the background and the experience to bring a greater richness to my teaching. This is my pathway. And it doesn't matter whether that's your pathway or yours is something completely different. It will be the right one for you. So it's a simple case of just trusting that you are in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. So play with this. Give yourself some time to really create that characterization, to tune into your highest self, and then have a dialogue and not judge or criticize the responses that you get. The whole point of getting those responses is for your self-development, is for your greater growth and expansion. And so then it's just about allowing them to come forward, and from there, recognizing that it will bring you gifts of the opportunity for growth and learning, gifts of a chance to maybe reevaluate how you think about a certain thing and what you believe about a certain thing. So again, don't judge it, just allow it to come forth. Trust that there is something bigger than you that is supporting you, and that within you is already every answer. And all you need to do is step through these processes, take the time to be with them without rushing, without squeezing it in between a whole bunch of other things. If you are genuinely at a place where you want to make your expansion a priority, where you want to feel better, feel happier, have a greater level of optimism and positive expectation for life, allow yourself to step into a greater yet to be of your life, whether that's in relationships, whether that's in a physical health and well-being kind of way, or whether that's in career or significant other relationship, or whatever it might look like. But as you go through these processes, as you make these changes, then all of those other things will fall into place. All of those other things become increasingly possible as you uncover some of the limiting beliefs, some of the old messages that aren't serving you, that are not lifting you up and raising you higher. And you can then work on letting those go, on integrating them in a more healthy way, and moving on from that particular life experience. Although that sounds like a whole bunch of different things, really the characterization and the dialogue is kind of one thing. Yes, there are different stages to it, and it needs time and it needs your commitment, but it's easy enough to do that in one kind of gentle movement and get really, really great results from that. So it's definitely something worth making the time and dedicating some clear mental space to going within and doing that exercise. Thinking about those two things, they're already powerful tools. And if you are serious about moving beyond judgment and criticism in your life, then those two in themselves will really help you shift. So once you've kind of opened up to those things, one of the other things, and I touched on it earlier, is to, when you do catch yourself in that criticism, and perhaps you haven't always got time to mentally turn within and have a dialogue with your inner critic and do that whole piece of work. So sometimes when you don't have the time for that, but you want to stop the criticism and judgment, then the thing to say to yourself is, right now, I am doing the best I can. Let me tell you that again. Right now, I am doing the best I can. Now, as I mentioned already, it might be that your best isn't very pretty. In fact, it might be that your best right in this now moment is damn pig ugly. But there's no point in judging and criticizing and beating yourself up about it, because that is not going to empower change. It's simply a case of recognizing, right now in this situation with maybe a whole bunch of pressures and some other situations going on, this is the best I can do. And when I can, I will do something better. But right now, I'm not going to give myself a hard time, because right now, this is as good as it gets. And we know in life, sometimes we'll find ourselves in a situation where, for whatever reason, we have a whole bunch of pressures around us. Life happens. we can't stop that, unfortunately. People die, people get deadly diseases, people get divorced. Those magic 4Ds for discovery are always at work. The 4Ds: death, diagnosis, divorce, and depression. And the first 3 very often lead to the 4th one. So those things in life are always happening. And those are the things that move us into a place where, although we're always doing the best we can, sometimes it looks ugly and sometimes it looks radiantly beautiful. Getting past that need to beat ourselves up, criticize ourselves, judge ourselves, when we are in that situation, that is when we really start serving ourselves on a much higher level. Recognizing that, hey, do you know what, right now, I know it's not great, but it's the best I can do. And that just as soon as I can, if necessary, I'll apologize. That happens to me sometimes when I have a moment and my mouth engages before my brain does, and I have to go back and apologize. And we do those things to make a situation as right as we can. And we just recognize that, okay, so what's really going on here? What is the issue behind that? And getting into those issues is not something we're going to cover in this workshop. That's a whole other class all on its own. But just knowing that by doing this work, you're getting new awarenesses, and it's giving you an opportunity to integrate in a more healthy way all of those beliefs, limiting ideas, and thoughts that you have that are keeping you stuck and are keeping you in that critical loop. So just knowing that this is the way that you get to let go of those and to move beyond them.
You are a work of art, a brilliant light for all to see, perfect in every part, heaven and earth in harmony. The beauty of your face reveals a life of grace. You are a work of art, a masterpiece. You are a work of art, a brilliant light for all to see, perfect in every part, heaven and earth in harmony. The beauty of your face reveals a life of grace. You are a work of art, a masterpiece. I am a work of art, a brilliant light for all to see, perfect in every part, heaven and earth in harmony. The beauty of my face reveals a life of grace. I am a work of art, a masterpiece. We are a work of art, a brilliant light for all to see, perfect in every part, heaven and earth in harmony. The beauty of our face reveals a life of grace. We are a work of art, a masterpiece. We are a work of art, a
There you have the very fabulous David Alt, knowing for you that you are a work of heart. And that comes from his album Worthy Shoes. And like it always is on this radio show, if you find the musicians inspiring, please check them out. That's David Alt, A-U-L-T. He's really easy to find. You can download his music on iTunes. And if it inspires you, please support these artists, because most of them are independent and they are not necessarily supported other than what they do with their music. I know some of them have day jobs as well. So if you like their music, please buy it. It would be awesome. Now, in everything I do, I teach the 3 Ps, and they are practice, patience, and persistence. Practicing persistently and being patient with the results. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do. You've got great tools here. If you actually apply these, if you begin to change your conscious approach to how you work with yourself, you will see a change. You will see a release of criticism. And as you release criticism, you're going to allow much more good stuff coming into your life. But it is important that you practice persistently and that then you are patient with the results. Now, so often, whenever we're working on something, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's something to do with personal growth or whether it's something on a very practical level when we're learning something new, what tends to happen is that we practice for a little bit, then we get fed up because we're not getting the results we want, and then we stop. Now, I can guarantee one thing. If you stop practicing, you're not going to get any results. So it's no good coming back to me next time we connect and saying, oh, Juliet, I did that course, but nothing's changed. I'm still really critical and I'm still in that same place that I was. And I'm going to ask you, well, how regularly are you practicing? And the chances are when I have those conversations, it's, well, I haven't really. Yeah, guess what? Things aren't going to change unless you do the work. And I'm working on that magic pill that I could give you that just has you master all of your life and be in total alignment, but I haven't quite managed that yet. I'm working on it. But up until then, the only solution is for us each individually to practice the things that we learn. So as much as I can encourage you and I can give you the tools, ultimately it's down to you to do the work. So I really, really, really encourage you to now think about that, to schedule time every day, to very consciously think about being willing to stop self-criticism, thinking about making that statement, repeating it over and over again, spending a little bit of time connecting with your inner critic. Once you've got that really clear vision of who and what they are, of what it looks like and sounds like, then you have that opportunity to dialogue. So say, okay, so what is it that you're trying to do here for me? How are you trying to help me? And then always remembering in the moments when you do slip back, because you're human, you're just like me. I have moments, I forget. But in those moments, then it's a case of recognizing, hey, do you know what? Right now I'm doing the best I can. And I am on a journey of self-improvement, of expansion. But right here, right now, with everything else that's going on in my life, this is as good as it gets. So those are the first 3 tools. They're great tools. They're powerful tools. And if you only employed those, practicing persistently and being patient with the results, I know that you would start to see changes happening in every area of your life. But there's some other things that I want to add in to start you thinking about the more empowering element of this. So as you start to stop the criticism, as you tame your inner critic, then what you want to do is replace the criticism with some positive, empowering, supportive comments about your abilities, about your brilliance, about who and how you're showing up in the world. So as you start to change and your self-criticism is starting to fall away, which I know it will be when you're practicing persistently, then you can start to take some time every day to add in congratulating yourself, recognizing for yourself the things that you've done well, and realizing and recognizing how and why and what it is that you've done well. What's been going on? What have you been feeling about yourself? Really starting to add that in and go, wow, well done. Good job. That's excellent. I did really well at that. And again, this is one of those things that nobody tells us this in high school. Nobody takes us aside when we're 13 or 14 and says, hey, do you know what? You've got amazing skills and talents. You are just an awesome, amazing individual, and who you are is going to make a huge difference in the world. You may have gone to a very different school from mine, but I'm telling you, I never heard that when I was in high school. And if we could only start telling ourselves now, then that is going to still empower the change. So praising yourself, recognizing when you've done a job well done, allowing the highest part of you to congratulate yourself, and then just being aware if there's something inside of you that's uncomfortable about this. And you will know if you've got an uncomfortable button around this, because when people compliment you, when people outside of you tell you that you've done a good job, it feels uncomfortable. And that's okay. That's just something that's already been learned. It's not the truth of you, because who you are is fabulous. And it's just one of those things that needs to be unlearned. And so as you allow this process, with the practice and the persistence, as you allow this process to unfold through you, and then move into that place where you start feeling more and more comfortable with recognizing your worth and value, with allowing yourself to congratulate the things that you've done, to celebrate the things that you've done. Because what I already know about you is that you are brilliant, that you have so many skills and tools and talents, and you are deploying those all the time. You use them every day, but because you're not in this place of empowerment, because nobody's told you that it's okay for you to celebrate the wonderfulness of who you are, it feels uncomfortable. It's not something that you're used to doing. So it's just recognizing that that's okay, that's right where you are, but then allowing that greater celebration, that congratulation, that starting to actively look for the things that you've done well, and to recognize why it is that you've done those things well. It may be that a certain situation is revealed because actually you're just really feeling so much better about yourself. You have a greater level of self-belief and self-confidence, and you're beginning to step into realizing that you do have worth and value, and that in itself is allowing these changes to take place. It's amazing how much blossoming can take place when we stop the criticism. And you will see this happen in your life. You will see this evolution take place when you stick with the practice, when you make it important.
Holding fast to that heartache, scared that the good times, they won't last. Darling, there's just one thing to be sure of, that nothing ever comes to stay. You know it always comes to pass, so let it go and let it flow without hesitation, 'cause change is the very nature of creation. It's your choice, you know, to set your mind at ease. You can stay stuck in the mud or be floating on a breeze. It makes your heart so heavy, carrying all that stuff within. I know, 'cause everything I ever let go of, you know I left my claw marks in. I wrapped it up so tightly and I put it on a shelf, but to keep it under lock and key just made a prisoner of myself. So I gotta let it go, let it flow without hesitation, 'cause change is the very nature of creation. Now the horizon never worries when it sees the sun sink down, and the willow never truly weeps, dropping seedlings to the ground. The snow has to melt to let the fertile soil abound. Its life is a circle, and it's all gonna come around. So you gotta let it go and let it flow without hesitation, 'cause change is the very nature of creation. Yes, change is the very nature of creation.
That was a wonderful song from the very fabulous Margaret Owens. Changes the nature of creation, and that comes from her album Getting Comfortable in My Skin. One of my favourite coaches, a guy called Michael Neal. You can find out more about Michael at supercoach.com. One of the things he says is the most important choice you make is what you choose to make important. Let me tell you that again. The most important choice you make is what you choose to make important. So I'm really going to invite you, if you know that you're struggling with criticism, if you know that you are not where you want to be in terms of happiness and health and vitality and vibrancy with life, then make this your important choice. Make you your priority, and know that that's okay. It's perfectly okay for you to be your highest priority. So there we have step number 4. Celebrate your good stuff. Congratulate yourself. And then finally, step number 5. In everything, this is a rule for life. This isn't just about taming your inner critic. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. As you move out of this critical way of being, you're creating a space. And as we know, nature abhors a vacuum. And so something has to fill that space. And rather than it be any other negative self-talk, what you want it to be is gentleness. Is combining with that celebration of the good, is actually just really being tender and looking after yourself. One of my favourite songs comes from Michael Gott, and the lyric is, I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. And we are called in gentleness to be that way for ourselves, to be self-compassionate, to be self-caring, and honour ourselves in that way. Being gentle is the thing that is going to naturally happen when you let go of self-criticism, when you tame your inner critic, when you master your mind and you take control as the only thinker that is in your mind. And so that's it. All you have to do now is practice daily, is make this a priority, and become the observer of your life and allow yourself to see those changes taking place. So a very quick recap. Stop all self-criticism. Rule number 1. Number 2, create a characterization for your inner critic. Recognize who and how and what it looks like, what it is, how it shows up. Separate yourself from that and then start a dialogue from the highest part of who you are to that inner critical part of who you are to see, okay, how are you trying to help me? Because that's what the ego is all about. It's all about trying to help you. Next, recognize that you are doing the best you can in every moment. Even when it looks pig ugly, it's still the best you can do. But when you are doing really well and you're releasing the criticism and you've achieved, then celebrate. Step number 4, celebrate. Congratulate yourself, praise yourself, just like you would with a child. And then finally, be gentle with yourself. Take care every day. Do the things that nurture and nourish you. Because even from that place, you're going to see massive change coming. You have been listening to the Metaphysical Motivator on One World Radio. Keep it locked into this station for lots of other great music, inspiration, motivation, and transformation. As well as if you're living in the local area, there's even sports results coming at you with football match reports and all that kind of good stuff. So this is the place to keep it locked into and allow yourself to expand your heart and mind through all the teaching that is available on this station. It's been my brilliant, greatest pleasure to share this teaching with you. If you have found it useful, please post a comment on my Facebook page. Get in touch with me directly. If there's anything else that I can help you with, if you've got any questions from this, please get in touch with me. You can get in touch with me on my email, which is juliet@julietvorster.com, or just go to Juliet Vorster and use the contact page there. I really, really look forward to helping and supporting you on your journey through life. And remember, I already believe in you. I already know that you are that magnificent being of light, that you are here to shine and you are here to make a difference every day. And it's my blessed honor to serve you in that realization, in awakening to your true worth and value. And make sure that you remember those magical 3 Ps: practice, persistence, and patience. Because as I've already said, I can give you all of the great tools. I can bring you my very, very best teaching. But unless you step up and make that important choice, decide that you are absolutely worthy and deserving of living a thriving life, of releasing all that criticism and judgment and moving into a greater place of awareness, of self-acceptance, of self-love and appreciation, of self-compassion, then there's no point in me doing the work that I do. And if only I could come along and just give you that magic pill, I promise you I would do that. But what I know from my own journey, from working with lots and lots of people all around the world, is the only person's work that we can do is our very own. So I absolutely encourage you, I invite you, I urge you, if you want more from life, if you are looking to be happier, healthier, more prosperous, abundant, more joy-filled, and have better relationships with everybody in your life, letting go of criticism, releasing the judgment, letting go of that need to be perfect, which all links into the same thing. It's all about judgment and criticism. It's all about not being good enough. When we let go of that criticism, when we move into a place of self-compassion and acceptance, it is remarkable. It's amazing the kinds of transformations that can take place. Some of them are going to be really subtle. Some of them are going to be just blow your brains out, amazingly awesome in your face. And I can't know what that's going to be for you. But what I do know is when you step up and practice persistently, and then just keep practicing persistently, being patient with the results that are coming, that's when really amazing things take place. And I've seen it over and over and over again. This is such a powerful lesson that if you can really move into it, if you can really get this and start applying it rigorously every day of your life, you will see the kinds of transformation that you're looking for. You will start to embrace that greatest yet to be of your life, that greater possibility, and the universe, the infinite intelligence will then conspire to open up more things for you. But back to that idea of willingness. That's what happens when we open a space in ourselves to be willing, because nature abhors a vacuum. Nature cannot stand a vacuum. And so when we create space by stopping certain behaviors, by releasing certain patterns, then that's when all of this good can start pouring into our life. So when you do that practice, and when you're patient with waiting on those results, knowing that they're coming, knowing and being observant of the little changes that you start to see, because you will start to see little changes. So it's really important that you bear witness to those when they happen, but then you just keep practicing. These are 5 really simple steps. They're not always easy. I understand that. Everything I teach is simple, but it's not always easy. But it is that case of just being persistent, being gentle with yourself, allowing yourself to do the best you can in each and every moment, and knowing that that transformation, that expansion is on its way. So I want you to remember that no matter where you are in your life, no matter what is happening to you right now, things always get better. That there is absolutely always a silver lining, and that no matter what you're doing, where you are, who you are right now, you are absolutely in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. You are going in the best direction, and you are always perfectly, divinely guided. It may be in the subtlest of ways. It may be simply listening to a radio show like this and picking up some new tools and tips and opportunities of transformation, or it may be in just bumping into a stranger in the street. But what I know is when we open a space inside of ourselves, that willingness just allows so much amazing good stuff to start happening in our lives, that transformation, that amazing space cannot help but start to manifest for us, and we move into that greatest yet to be of our life. So have a spectacular week. Keep up with your practice, and I look forward to hearing from you soon, and I will connect with you right here next week. All my love.